Good morning, everybody. It's Nikki Jordan here, and I wanted to talk about what actually receiving is. Because I know that some of you know this already, or some people might have a concept of what it is, but maybe the concept needs to be fleshed out a little bit, and maybe this concept needs to be fleshed out a little bit, right? So, receiving is an exchange of energy. So, there's exchanges of energy all the time in the universe. Everywhere around you, there's an exchange of energy, right? And so you can think of it very simply like you go to a party, as I often say, and you have one feeling in your body, and you arrive and you experience joy and you receive the joy. Or maybe you don't like the party and you decide, I don't like the energy here. What I'm receiving isn't what I want, and then I want to leave. Hey there, Maruna. So receiving is about you being an aperture, like the aperture of a camera that opens up wide. Why? Because most of the time we function with, maybe not when you're walking through nature or doing something relaxing, but most of the time we're operating with what we need to get done, our expectation of how things are going to go, our beliefs, right? There's many reasons or many ways we function with something that creates a barrier when something is not like that. Like, for example, my really bad post that I made yesterday when I was too tired to talk about my experience of receiving from frustration. And I was laughing because, I actually probably felt like I wish I had posted in the morning and I went all day and I didn't do it. So my expectation didn't allow me to receive what I was going to post as well as I could. So, when you're up against something like somebody or something or the weather or something like that isn't exactly the way you would like it to be, or something comes in your way and gets in the way of you doing something with total ease, or somebody gets really angry and you're having a good time, what we do is we react. There's an energy that we change our energy, and it's as though we're closing the doors, or we're putting up a shield. We might be listening with our mind, but we're reacting with our energy. Even our mind can go up into, like, this person's crazy, or I really, really don't want to do this right now. Why did this happen? Or why did things have to be so hard? Or whatever it is, right? So it's pretty easy for people to receive the good, but they don't even take that in, because what they tend to do is they also tend, for many reasons, such as even subconsciously, you feel a real need to be humble, right? Or if somebody gives you a present, you feel like you need to give them one, right? Even if you're not thinking about it, there's this thing where you just don't receive something out of the blue. Now, yes, I'm sure all of us do at some point receive things out of the blue and really get so happy, right? But let's say somebody gives you a present that you don't really want. And so you're reacting to the present, not to the action and the effort that they took, and they're hurt, right? So we start a whole dynamic there. So let's take the person who is, so receiving is an energy exchange, right? And let's say take the person, and you're an aperture. You're opening up to allow it in instead of reacting by tension, gripping, expectations in the mind, your monkey mind going around saying, no, 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 they're not right. What if you just relaxed and got really, really wide? Really, really wide. You imagine yourself like an aperture opening up. And when you receive whatever they're saying, you don't have the back and forth reaction with them, what starts a fight. You don't have that. You have this flow. Now, the importance of the flow is it doesn't just stop when it comes in. It keeps going. If somebody's angry and it flows in, where does it go to heal you? And I'm thinking of actually someone else asking this question, and my psychic energy is going into their space. And it goes into, I don't want to hear this anymore. I can't take this anymore. But what if it's like sickness? I oftentimes tell you, do you receive the sickness, the illness that's coming? Because what if it's there to nurture you? And this is going to sound really strange to some people, but what if that flow, if of someone's saying a bunch of things that are not happy, what if that flow, instead of you gripping in your body, allow it to just come through, because maybe that energy is healing. And that sounds totally strange, really strange, but maybe that energy is healing. Follow the flow. It comes in. Just even imagine at this moment in time, either something that did happen or something that might happen, right? And I'm imagining someone getting upset with me, like a kid or something like that. And I'm bracing, like I was like, I don't want to deal with this now. The more that you allow it to flow, it's weird, but the more you're going to see, you're going to connect with them, and you're going to see where they're feeling wounded, or whatever the term is, where something, it's almost like it's sad, right? It's a sad energy that came out as angry. Like if someone's asking you to do something and they shouldn't be asking you to do stuff all the time, what is it they're really asking? For attention, for you to love them, for, I'm just like, for acknowledgement that they're suffering, or that they're unhappy, right? And so it's where you become the space that they can let that out. And as it flows in you, you might find it travel through your heart or your belly, or you just watch the energy, watch it flow. It might go out the other side, right? It's really important that you don't hold on to it, but you watch where it wants to go. Because receiving keeps going. That energy keeps going somewhere. Who knows where? It could go into another time, space, and dimension. It could go over there to the fireplace. I don't care where it goes. But energy is always flowing. Otherwise, it's potential energy. It's like a light switch. There's energy, a current running in the wall, and the light switch is off. It's dammed up. And when you turn the light switch on, the light comes on, and there's brightness, right? So you don't want to be the light switch. You don't want to have that there, because you can't, potential is nothing. That is one of the things that cracked me up growing up my whole life. They kept saying people have such potential, and I would go, but potential doesn't mean anything. So if that energy gets stuck, you're not receiving, Maruna. If it's not about the energy getting stuck. So if this is on YouTube, I'm reading her comment. It says, so if the energy gets stuck in you, it means you're not receiving, ? And yes, because that means you're holding on to it. You have to actually let it flow through. You have to, it might stay there for a second and work on something, and it keeps moving. If you want help with this, anybody, you're welcome to do a private with me, because, I do teach these random things, but I love working in groups or in privates, because there's so much dynamism that happens there. There's so much change, and then it's recorded, right? So when something comes through, it has to keep going, because it's going to keep healing the next piece and the next piece. It might go through to your heart, then to your shoulder, then to your, hip, then to your ankle. It might go out your foot, whatever it is, it might just go out your back. And all of this is really key in you receiving you. And that we're going to get into later, because there's a whole thing about where you don't receive you. In fact, maybe I'll do a class on that. That is absolutely the most fundamental thing that you need to receive. But receiving from other things there's healing energy everywhere, and it comes from the strangest of places. Hey there, Rachel. It comes from the strangest of places. So yesterday, it's kind of a joke, but not really. Or yesterday, whatever day it was, when I was talking about receiving from the effing weevils, that I opened up my cupboard and discovered that I had a weevil outbreak from a bag of rice that I had bought a while ago, that I thought I had cleaned everything up. I'd never had one of these before. And then it came back. And it came back because it got in a little bag of pasta that was, wrapped up. It wasn't ziplocked in a bag or put in a glass or anything. So So I was at first resistant that I had to do this, 'cause I knew it was going to take me several hours to clean everything out. But when you receive the it's something is saying, pay attention to me. So if you think of somebody being angry, there's a fundamental part of them in the saying, pay attention to me. And if, for example, sometimes my partner will say to me, sometimes I don't like talking to you because, like, you're not listening. Like maybe I give advice or something like that, and all he wants to do is let the energy come out of him. It's like a process he goes through. He's talking, and if there's dissatisfaction, he might ask me to look at the energy or help him look at the energy, but really I know what it is. It's the process of the energy flowing. And if I become the aperture through which his questions flow, they might flow through my body and heal something in me. And then I might get an aha moment, or he might get an aha moment. And it's because we just let something in. Our own apertures opened up so much that we saw something else that might be just sitting right there. There are ideas, right? I don't know. Maybe need to do some interior design, in your place. That's what we're doing right now. I'm not an interior designer. My daughter is, but we didn't have a huge budget, and we bought some expensive stuff, and we gave away a lot of stuff for free. But it's like, I need my space was bothering me. You need to receive from it. And when I become the aperture, I am not, like, if I have a laundry list of things I'm supposed to do today, that's not receiving the energy. That's receiving my expectation of what I need to do. And the moment, like, my body said, you need to fix the space first, I was listening and I was receiving the space. The moment I start engaging with what we call the molecules of that idea, and everything comes to life, and it becomes not a chore. It becomes not a distraction that's making me have a mental issue in my head. Oh, I'm getting distracted here. Because a lot of people have ADD, ADHD. These are not bad things. You just need to know how to handle it. For example, if you have that list of things that you need to do, you can receive the list and you could tell it to put itself in order, and maybe even for some things to fall off the list because they were expectations. Okay, so what's not receiving is sitting down with someone or something and assuming that you know what has to be done because you used your mind. You had a conclusion. You had some expectations. You project what's going to happen when you do things a certain way. That's not receiving. Receiving, because there's a contractive feeling in your body when you do that. And that's why all the body work that I do is so important. That's why I teach Yamana body rolling, Yamana foot fitness, Yamana face ball, because they put you in the space of receiving. And then I teach those, ultimately with all the other ways that you can start to sense your body more. And then you sense, everything around you. You have a greater sense of proprioception. That's your sense of yourself in space. And now you can hear better everything that's talking to you. And that doesn't mean you're going to go crazy. That means you have the awareness that the space has something to offer you. The space, there's something in the space. It might be an idea. It might be a project. It might be some of the tasks on your list. It might be the food in the kitchen that wants to be cooked. It's like, hey, we got an idea. And I know this sounds crazy, but I know people who've invented things, and they say it's in the listening. And if you look at it, a lot of the most brilliant people who invent, like, the iPhone, I know people in Silicon Valley, there's people inventing all this stuff everywhere. They have the ability to listen, and they might have a little ADD, ADHD, and then, and they're following what's talking loudest because they're allowing things to talk to them, right? Allowing things to talk to you. You have to be willing to realize that an idea is an entity. An idea, an invention, a book, a song, a house you're moving to, whatever it is an entity. And your own place that you live in, is an entity. And And it is part of the aliveness of your world, the aliveness of your living. And that's why, when people say their home bodies, right? They like to focus on their home. They're having a nurturing relationship with their home. They don't need necessarily all the other stimuli out there. And many of us are now in that with COVID. If you live in a country where you're more home, then listening to your home is really important. So receiving is a flow. It's not like you get something from that and then you hold it inside you. Everything is a flow. There is nothing in the universe that is not a flow. There's nothing in the universe that's not a flow. Energy moves. Space is you being so large that you're flowing, if you feel light, that you're flowing beyond being contracted. Being contracted makes things zing around. It means that you live in a smaller space and all that energy is zinging around and disturbing itself. It makes you easily annoyed. It makes you easily frustrated, quick to anger. Think of all the other things. It makes you jump without thinking. And energy can make you jump without thinking. And that's okay if you're aware. Everything, Maruna. Chemistry. Think of chemistry, material science. That's all my background. My background is chemistry and electrical engineering, material science. Stuff flows through hard things. Everything. It's not even in a way. You understand that everything that is solid is 99.99999% nothing, and there's space in there. And in the space is where things flow. The electrons are moving in there. The consciousness sits in the space. That's why you have to have space, because you get more consciousness with more space, right? And these are not, even though I studied access consciousness, this is stuff I knew long before. This is just from being aware, from studying science, from all of that. This is from being an energy healer. People ask me how I became one. I asked the universe to show me what I was meant to do. And it delivered me the ability to heal. I believe lots of people can do that. Not everyone's called to do that as a profession. A lot of people, when they get into this stuff, they want to leave and do this as a profession. And even I remember sitting and listening to Gary Douglas get totally kind of, in a way, frustrated. It was good because it was acknowledgement of his work, but frustrated that everybody was leaving their professions to become a healer. This isn't it. This isn't it. It's being energy and space in everything you're doing. We need people to build roads. We need people to be teachers. We need people to be, dry cleaners and chemists and, whatever, grocery. We don't need everybody to leave their profession to become healers, because we are 100% the capacity of healing as an existence. We just don't know it. We lost this information. So that's one of the things when you feel bad about yourself, about something, or let's say you have shame about something, or you feel guilty, these things block off your receiving. So that's why we work on getting rid of them, because the ability to receive is the ability to let things flow without a reaction. And wow. I definitely want to teach a live class, because they are way more fun for me. A live class, or do privates, because then I help people actually go. Because one of my gifts is that I can go into your body. Not I can, I do. That's one thing about a lot of people you need to understand, is that you're sensing at this point in time a lot of people all at once. And they're not just people, they're entities that aren't even here. It's a reason why I want to talk about receiving from anxiety. Receiving from anxiety. I taught this to children recently. And they're like, oh yeah, I get that. I said, how much is here that's not even you? And we went through the exercise. And then I said, now that's all gone. Now let's deal with just you. Because the moment you feel anxious, there's a variety of things coming in. And not all of them are negative. Some of them are the future. Some of them that are what wants your attention. But some of them are things that you don't even want there. Because why would you want to be functioning off of someone else's energy that is just anxious? Well, Maroon, I'm glad you like the explanations, but I mean, this is really important. And yeah, receiving is a is it is an action. It's an action, and it doesn't stop. Now, the more space you are, the more you and we can talk about this. The more you become space. That's why my trademark programs are called Got Space. The more flow is natural. It's absolutely natural. So is consciousness, awareness. You know, if you don't know, consciousness is the sum total of your awarenesses. You can be somewhat conscious, hugely conscious. You know, you can contract your consciousness, right? It's all about your awareness. And that's why I focus so much on the body, because while a lot of these programs that people go to that are about, I don't know, meditation or awareness or breathing or whatever, if you don't know how to read the body and you don't do things for your body that puts you in a state to receive more, then you're receiving less, right? So you need to be able to have the body in the state to receive. Now, you could do that with awareness, but you could enhance it with some body work, right? And I live in an area, I live in the San Francisco Bay Area. I lived in Berkeley for a while. I live in Oakland for the longest. And everywhere around me are mind-body practitioners. And one of the things I noticed many years ago is why there were so many problems with people, or why people in these professions had so many problems. They weren't receiving. They still aren't, you know, because the sensation of what it's like to be communal has some guilt in it. It has some expectation, and what the seriousness and heaviness with which people talk sometimes about compassion, they don't necessarily know it, but it can be heavy. So receiving everything is the key to connection. Oneness will happen automatically the more we receive. Because while we're oftentimes asked to give to others or give to the earth or give to a cause, 99% of the time, if you sit there and realize whether something is giving to you or you're giving to it, it's giving to you, because we have so much to learn from everything else. So anyway, I hope that helped a little bit. You can let me know. But receiving is one of my favorite topics. And it's one reason why I needed people less and less, because I was able to receive from everything. It's not that I don't love people. I do. I wouldn't be doing this, right? So, all right. I hope you have a nice day, and I hope that helped. Take care.